Hey guys, what is going on? In this video, I want to break down how I was able to scale 4 different agencies, all to over 20K per month over the last several years. And I want to take you through the different niches that I chose. I want to take you through the different acquisition channels that I used. I want to take you through the different challenges that I faced. And I ultimately want to take you through the learning lessons that I took from each one. So I'm going to rewind back to 2018. Now, in my own career at that point in time, I was moving into digital marketing. I was a personal trainer and I had already understood and used the power of digital marketing in my own business. So I knew how well that good digital marketing worked, but I didn't actually enjoy doing the personal training, to be fair. So I did come from a personal training fitness background, and I was thankful that I was able to run my own business and earn an income without having a boss, which was one of the biggest things for me, is to set my own schedule and to just do things on my own basis instead of being told what to do. That was the biggest thing for me. But after about a year and a half, I realized that I actually enjoyed the marketing and sales process of that personal training business as opposed to just doing the fitness on its own. So I actually moved into starting my own digital marketing agency. Now, at the time, this was pre-COVID, so it was a totally different sort of setting at that point in time. And I was actually working with gym owners in the US, the UK, and Australia. Now, what was interesting is at that time, this was when Gym Launch was starting to get big. So that was Alex Hormozi's company at the time. A lot of people know Alex Hormozi from his YouTube channel, but back then he was not as big as he is now. And he actually ran probably the most competitive and probably the best marketing agency at the time for gym owners. So I want to talk about specifically how I found working with gyms, what were the best acquisition channels, and ultimately what were the learning lessons from that particular business. So what I will say is that at that time, I actually got a mentor to help me put together my business systems and my acquisition, because at the time I had no idea how to acquire a client. I did know a little bit about how to use Google to get clients, which I did for my own business, but for my agency, I was struggling and I was not getting the clients and the amount of clients that I wanted, and the number of leads that I wanted were just not there. So this was at a time where I did get a mentor, and he actually told me, hey, you should work with gyms because you've got a personal training background, and it actually did work. Here's the thing. Working with gyms is a good niche, first of all, because they're quite entrepreneurial and so they understand the power of marketing. Number 2 is the pain points and the ability to market that service is fairly easy because a lot of people, prioritize their health and their fitness, and it's quite an emotional sell. So in that sense, it is quite easy to fulfill if you have good sort of back-end systems. Trouble with the gym niche though is you need to do a lot of training for the actual business owner because they might not be good at sales, they might not be good at marketing, they might not have any systems at all. So as opposed to just being someone who does their ads or their content, you want to actually build more of a system for them to actually get the result as opposed to just one component of the service. And that's probably something that you'll find working with a lot of different niches, is that you don't want to you don't want to just sell one thing. You want to have a full package that gets them the result, because ultimately, guys, you want to sell the result, what they get, and not the process. Now, my acquisition channel for gyms was actually interesting. The number one thing that I did for gyms was outbound social. So I actually hit up owners of different businesses and business pages using Facebook primarily. And that was a bit of a hustle. I will say, I did do probably 50 DMs a day, and it took me about 2 months to get about 3 to 4 clients paying me around 1K to 1.5K a month. And that felt great, to be honest. To have a process that did get me booked calls was good. It was a hustle and it did take a bit of time, but it works. And so that's why, even to this day, we do recommend doing social DMs. Second acquisition channel was an interesting one. At the time, I joined a program called Traffic and Funnels because I really wanted to learn how to run paid ads. Now, after doing that program, I actually did learn how to do that. They had some really good mentors in the program, and they were a very copywriting heavy oriented program, which is good if you're wanting to get good at advertising. If you know how to write copy, then you probably understand the basics of marketing, the fundamentals of how people people think and how to run ads. So my second acquisition channel for the gym business was actually running paid ads. That made me realize the power of paid ads and the leverage that you can get and the scalability of paid ads as well. So a lot of people talk about, you don't want to spend money on paid ads. Paid ads isn't the way. You want to do organic and content and whatever. The reality is you can actually achieve a lot of scalability with paid ads. So that's what I found with gyms. Now, the ultimate learning lesson from this particular business was that really is about finding an acquisition channel that works, spending a lot of time developing a product that actually gets the result, as opposed to saying, I only do Google ads, or I only do Facebook ads, or I only do TikTok ads, or I only do short form content. People don't care about the process. They care about the result, right? Nobody wants to buy a protein powder. Nobody wants to buy a gym membership. Want to have a fit body. That's what they're after. So you need to sell the fit body. Do not sell the protein shake. That makes sense. Now, the second agency that I scaled to 20K was a broad-based agency. Now, this was in the middle of COVID. So what happened was COVID hit, and to sell to a gym marketing services when they weren't even open was incredibly difficult. And so during this time, I realized that for me to actually sustain this business, I needed to pivot and I needed to start marketing to a broader base of niches. Now, this time around, the acquisition channel that I used was only paid ads. Now, the reason I only use paid ads because instead of targeting people based on their industry, I just ran a broad-based offer solving a particular problem. So I actually ran, and this was one of the breakthrough moments with my understanding of paid ads, in that when you run a really powerful, strong offer on paid ads, it really hits and you can get a lot of traction, a lot of leads, a lot of bookings, a lot of sales when you have a strong offer. So I ran a pretty high bar offer, certain number of guaranteed leads. And this was also a good learning lesson because I realized that there are a lot of different industries that are actually looking for lead generation outside of the typical niches that people, recommend. So a lot of people recommend niches like solar, dental, gym, chiropractors, whatever, but there's actually a lot of different niches that need leads. And this type of offer made me realize that. So that was the main acquisition channel, paid ads. Now, here's the thing. I started this business from zero and I scaled it up to $10,000 within less than 21 days. And the reason I was able to do that is because I understood how paid ads works. I understood how to close a deal, and I understood how to make sure that you get booked appointments on your calendar and convert them all the way into a sale. So with that process and with that understanding, it was actually easy to scale. In terms of delivering on different niches, that was actually the most difficult thing because everyone had a customized offer and everyone was in different niches. I actually struggled hardcore to deliver on that offer specifically just because I was pulled in so many different directions. And the number one learning lesson from this business specifically was that you need to have one streamlined deliverable. And the easiest way to have a streamlined deliverable is to have sort of one problem that you solve or one industry you work with. So to put this in perspective, I worked with like 15 different industries at the same time. And it was difficult because every single time I had to do it from scratch and the results weren't good because I wasn't working with something I had experience in. So if I had 15 different, say, e-com brands, that would have been a lot easier than 15 different, local brick and mortar businesses, which is what I had. And so I ultimately stopped that business after a certain period of time. And the reason is because I noticed with the lead generation process that I was using at the time that there was a lot of strong demand in the real estate niche. So let's just say I generated 100 leads with this offer. Out of those 100 leads, I would get a consistent 5 to 10% of those leads being real estate. And so I suddenly realized, okay, there's definitely some merit to running a real estate offer. Yeah, if I'm sweating, guys, on my forehead, it's very hot in here. I got this light here. It's actually pretty hot. So the third offer I did was the real estate niche. Now, again, the reason I did this was with my broad-based offer, I realized that there was a lot of demand for real estate. And so I started running a few campaigns for real estate. Now, the acquisition channel that I started with real estate was cold email. Now, the reason I did cold email is because I didn't want to spend money on paid ads at that time. And it worked very, very well. I came up with a really good cold email script. And here's the thing with cold email, guys. If you're able to get a good volume of leads coming through and you're quick to call those leads and have a conversation and you understand what you need to do on that first, it's often called an intro call or a triage call. If you know how to do an intro call, triage call, you're able to book a lot of appointments. And so I was getting like 5 to 10 leads per day with this particular offer, just with cold email. And I would book 1 to 2 bookings per week. And the thing with real estate is that the customer is always on their phone. So to book an appointment was not difficult. I didn't have to get through a gatekeeper. I didn't have to send an email and book a time through email. It was direct to phone, have a conversation, book the call. Now I was able to scale that business up to $40,000 per month. With cold email, I also ran a second acquisition channel, which was paid ads. And between cold email and paid ads, I was actually able to build a pretty decent team where I had an account manager, I had a closer, and I had a media buyer. And so I was actually only working 20 hours per week at peak in that business because I was able to automate that. And I got that to $500,000 per year. So $40,000, $480K per year, $500,000 per year, roughly. Now, the ultimate learning lesson from that business was ultimately I didn't feel to continue that business just because I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy working with that niche specifically. I would probably do it again in a different way. Again, it all comes down to having a process that gets the result that you promise. So if you have a proven process to get the result that you promise, scaling the business is easy. One of the biggest learning lessons, again, was want to build a business that has a little bit of a referral rate. This business was a fairly churn and burn business because of the nature of the industry and the nature of the way that we had set up the fulfillment. So doing this again, I would have aimed to try and optimize for referrals so that I had at least 1 in 4 clients referring our business. Now, the way that I would go about doing that is being a little bit more picky with the type of clients that I chose instead of being so sales heavy, and also really drilling down on the processes of fulfillment. One of the most important things, guys, to build a sustainable agency is to have an extremely good fulfillment model. When you have a good fulfillment model, business is a lot more fun, clients are more happy, and you're able to sell more confidently because you know that when you have a client come into your system, it's very streamlined and organized, and they're able to get the results fairly quickly. This is very important. The quicker that you can actually measure and the quicker that you can confidently assure your client they're going to get the results, the more likely they're going to close and the more confident they're going to be in your process. Now, the last agency that we built and the agency that we're currently running is a done-for-you acquisition and coaching service for agency owners. Now, the reason I did this is because up until this point, I had cleared close to $1 million from selling SMMA. So I know how SMMAs work, having done 3 different SMMA businesses. And so I felt to go into a coaching and done for you role for high ticket businesses and agency owners. Now, the acquisition channel we immediately used for this was, surprise, surprise, paid ads. The reason we use paid ads is because, again, it's scalable, it's quick. You can test ads quickly, see which ads hit, and then just run budget behind it. Now, the second acquisition channel that I really use for this is also content. Now, going into 2023, one of the biggest things was, doing YouTube, doing Twitter, doing IG content, things like that. And so combining both paid ads and content really worked well for us. Now, the good news is we're able to scale this business to 40K in 2.5 months. So we literally scaled the business to $40,000 per month in 2.5 months. And again, the reason I was able to do that is because I understand how to set appointments, understand how to close appointments, and we were able to actually build a team in this current business fairly quickly too. Now, the learning lesson with this particular business is that you need to know what you need to be doing at certain stages in your business's growth. I'll say it again. You need to know what you need to be doing in certain stages of your business's growth. Having done 4 agencies, I realized that you can actually grow things quickly when you know what to do. Now, it sounds simple. What a lot of people do, especially under 10K, is that you focus on shiny objects and you're not focusing on setting and closing appointments. When you're under 10K, all you need to do is get to 10K, right? If you're under 10K, get to 10K. You don't need to be doing automations, high level, all this frankly BS. You don't need to be doing that. You need to focus on setting appointments, closing appointments. Do not complicate it. Seriously. Above 10K to about 25K, it's really about ensuring that you're getting good client results. So having a leaning into client fulfillment. Now, the reason that you can focus on client fulfillment at this point is because you have enough clients to have a good data set. What a lot of people make a mistake in doing under 10K is going, I've got this one client, I need to get the best results for them in the world. But the thing is, you're going to be optimizing your results based on one client, one data set. But when you get more clients, you start to see what works and you get an opportunity to create more case studies. Now, the third thing is that you need to know when you need to transition from certain roles. So once you pass 10K as well, I don't think that you should be doing a lot of outbound calls or appointment setting. I think you should outsource that. You also shouldn't be doing the button pressing elements of your deliverables. I'll say it again. You shouldn't be doing the button pressing elements of your deliverables. You should get a virtual assistant who can do the button pressing. You can SOP that part of the business out. And you can get an appointment setter to bring leads and appointments onto your calendar. So what your situation looks like when you pass 20K is that you have appointments set on your calendar, you're closing them, you're making sure you're getting good client results. There's a virtual assistant doing the button pressing elements of the client results. And then the next stage is to have automated sales. So this is where you bring on a closer, you train both the closer and the appointment setter to convert clients consistently. And once you're at that point, you don't have to worry so much and you can focus a little bit more on client fulfillment because you know that consistent sales are coming in. So that's where we're at now. We want to obviously scale this further and further. I hope that video was helpful and the learning lessons made sense. If you guys have any questions or any comments on any part of what I talked about today in scaling the 4 different agencies to 20K, comment below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.